Raider Nation, what's going on? You're watching the Raiders Report. Mitchell Renz here from Chat Sports. And coming up on today's episode of the Raiders Report, an ESPN Mock Draft reaction. Mel Kiper Jr., Todd McShay released a 3-round mock. And Mel and Todd, they swap picks here and there. But top 4 picks, this is what they were. The Raiders are in round 1, pick number 7 overall. In round 2, at pick 38, and then in round 3 at 70 and 100. So the way that they did this mock, Mel made some picks. They swap back and forth in terms of, somebody picks at 1, somebody picks at 2, somebody picks at 3. I'll be honest, McShay ends up making 3 of the Raiders' picks, but Mel, he gets the first overall pick for the silver and black, number 7. So here's how the ESPN mock went. 1 through 6. Bryce Young off the board to Carolina, which seems to be the favorite here. Number 2 is C.J. Stroud. At number 3 is Will Anderson Jr. Anthony Richardson, very interestingly enough, goes off the board at 4. Jalen Carter at number 5. Tyree Wilson, the edge from the Lions, or going to the Lions from Texas Tech, which means at pick number 7, the Las Vegas Raiders select, you guys are going to like this one, cornerback Devin Witherspoon. So with every pick that the Raiders make, I'm going to give you a little analysis on the player, why the Raiders did this pick that they did, according to Mel or Todd McShay, and then I'll give you a grade at the very, very end of it. So in terms of why the Raiders went this route, Mel Kiper said, I thought hard about Kentucky quarterback Will Levis, giggity, but the reality is the Raiders believe they have the roster to compete in the AFC West this season. That's why they signed Jimmy Garoppolo. If they want a defender to help them in 2023, it's Witherspoon, who could immediately become their top guy. I admit, he definitely could become their top guy. And at the NFL Combine, when Chat Sports was there, we asked him, what about the Raiders? And he said that he would love to be able to play with his old buddy and teammate Nate Hobbs in the secondary. On top of that, at 6'1", 180, he's a little bit longer limbed than Duke Shelley and David Long Jr., who are both, smaller corners and could have that ability to also play on the inside. Witherspoon would be your outside corner. I'd make the argument he'd be the best outside corner that the Raiders have. That's even on top of Nate Hobbs. And Hobbs, to me, I'm curious to see if he plays on the inside. He can play man. He can play zone. The more and more tape I watch on Witherspoon and the more and more people I talk to, I don't even know if I have a true number 1 anymore. It's like Witherspoon and Gonzalez are neck and neck. But this show is made on the back of the nation. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So I want to know from all of you, who is the best corner in this year's draft? If you think it's the kid from Oregon, Chris Gonzalez, type CG. Devin Witherspoon, DW. Joey Porter Jr. from Penn State, JP. Or if you think it's somebody else, then please type O. For me personally, I think Chris Gonzalez is the highest upside corner, which is why I have him ranked at number 1. But in terms of which corner is the most ready to compete right away, that's probably where I would go with Witherspoon, and he has the versatility. He's a tough mother effer, and you're going to see that on tape right away. But the Raiders taking him at number 7, I would be ecstatic about it. It would be an A grade from me, the fact that the Raiders fill a need, and they get a player that I do think is going to be a big-time impact player in the NFL right away. Which now means the Raiders, they're on the clock here at pick number 38, and in this ESPN mock draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select TCU offensive lineman. He can play center. He can also play a little bit of offensive guard. Steve Avila at number 38. So when I see this pick happen, there's going to be a lot of people like, man, why did the Raiders decide to go with an offensive lineman? The key word is versatility. And if the Raiders went this route, I think it'd be really bad things for Andre James. But in terms of why McShay ended up going here, Mel took care of the cornerback need in the first round, so I'm moving on to the offensive line in the second. The Raiders invested in Jimmy Garoppolo and franchise tag running back Josh Jacobs, so why not give them both some help on their interior line? Avila could end up being a really good run blocker in the pros. When I watched his tape, he's 6'4", he's 330 pounds. I don't know if he's ever going to get out bull rush. Like, this dude is strong. And living here in Dallas, Texas, him growing up in Arlington, Texas, I was able to reach out and talk to a few of my buddies. One of our Bears hosts, Harrison Graham, big-time TCU guy, said He is an incredible offensive lineman. And if you've watched the show before, he is my number 1 ranked overall center in this year's class. So if the Raiders, hypothetically speaking, would go this route, I think it would scream, hey, either it's going to be Steve or it's going to be Dylan Parham at center. If they were to go this pick, I do think that he would play center. The Raiders move on from Andre James. You save about $5 million. But at the end of the day, if you're going to have an injury-prone quarterback like Jimmy G, it's important to invest in your offensive line. If you're going to have a rookie quarterback, guess what? It's important to invest into your offensive line. So the fact that you're getting a very good lineman, I know it's not maybe a big-time need for some people out there, and it's not on the defensive side of the football. I do like the prospect, and I think he's a good player. He's in my top 40 after all. If you haven't already joined the Raiders Report family, we are 24 subs away from 136,000. Free videos every day, 3 live shows every single week. We're going to be live for every single pick during the NFL Draft. Jermaine Illuminor is going to be joining the show on Friday. Hit that subscribe button and turn on those noties. That way you never miss a thing. All right, so the Raiders, they went corner. They went offensive line. So in the 3rd round at pick number 70 in this ESPN Mock Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select another offensive player here, South Dakota State tight end Tucker Kraft. I know when some people look at this, they're already going to be like, wait a minute. The Raiders got Devin Witherspoon, who we all love, but then they went offense and then another offensive player. If this were to happen, I would roll my eyes a little bit because I'd be like, oh man, Josh is just really trying to build this offense and make himself look better. However, when I think about it from just a drafting standpoint and value aspect, Tucker Kraft is in my top 60 overall prospects. He's a really good tight end, and what he brings to the table would fit the Raiders and would fit their future. Keyword there is future. In terms of why the Raiders decided to go this route, according to Todd McShay, the Raiders traded away Darren Waller, and new quarterback Jimmy Garoppolo ranked 2nd in the NFL in yards per attempt on passes to tight ends last season at 9.5. Kraft would be a red zone favorite for Garoppolo in Las Vegas. I do think one of the things that, McShay is kind of missing there is, well, Garoppolo was thrown to George Kittle, and no disrespect to Tucker Kraft. He ain't George Kittle, but at 6'5", 256 pounds, the key word when I look at Kraft is versatility. Like, he's the type of tight end that he's going to be able to step in, and he's going to be able to take over for Austin Hooper, step in, take over for O.J. Howard next season. So realistically, I look at a lot of the reasons that Mel lays out, or Todd, it's a lot of Jimmy Garoppolo. To me, this is a pick that the Raiders don't make for Garoppolo. They make for him being the successor in 2024. In terms of where does he rank for my top tight ends, he's in the top 5. He's a top 60 overall prospect. The tight end class this year is very good. And if the Raiders have their eyes on a few tight ends, giggity, I don't know, they might have to reach a little bit. And the only reason, because they are going to go off the board very early. We speak very highly of the cornerback class, and I'm going to speak very highly of the tight end class as well. Tucker Kraft is a very good player, and he's from a small school. I get it. In terms of what Lance Zierlein has to say about Kraft, in terms of, I don't know, a scouting report, if you will, listen to this, because this is what the Raiders are going to look for at the tight end position. A combination tight end with the projectable skill set to handle pass catching and run blocking duties at the next level. Currently, he's more of an effective blocker in space than inline, but that is correctable with better hand usage and proper angles of entry into his base blocks. Kraft provides formational versatility that will be appealing for teams that make heavy use of 12 personnel. What is 12 personnel? 2 tight end sets. He has the body control and catch toughness to be more than just traditional Y tight end. That's basically what Waller was. Kraft has day 2 talent and should be on the field early with a chance to become a tight end 1. I will admit, if this is the move, I do think he beats out O.J. Howard. I do not think that he beats out Austin Hooper right away. Maybe as the season goes on and on, you start to realize that he's talented. But from back in my fantasy football days, the reason why I still always people do not draft a rookie tight end is because college, being a tight end, going to the NFL, they don't have a lot of success in year 1 because you have to learn how to block before you can learn how to become a receiver. At least that's what a lot of coaches do try to look at. So before I share the final pick here in this ESPN mock, please share this video on Facebook. Every single share we get, it goes a long way. And I know there's people out there like, hey, man, sorry I can't super chat. One, I hate when you say sorry for not being able to super chat. But if you do want to be able to help the show continue to grow, because the more people we get here to watch, the more stuff we do, the more videos we can do, the more content I can create for free for Raider Nation. So take a second, click the share button, select the Facebook icon, click post to Facebook, and tell people to watch the Raiders Report. It goes a very, very long way. So the final pick here in this ESPN mock, the Las Vegas Raiders select Ole Miss outside linebacker Tavius Robinson at number 100 overall. He's an edge rusher. That's what he is. I know it says linebacker. He would end up being a edge rusher on the silver and black. The reason why they decided to go this route, McShay says Chandler Jones is 33 years old, and he didn't live up to expectations in his first season in Las Vegas. So getting more explosive pass rushers with versatility wouldn't be a bad call for the Raiders. If you are looking for upside, Robinson has it. He is still a raw prospect. At 6'6", 265 pounds, he's got the long arms, he's got the athletic ability, but he's raw. And if you want to have the patience with him, great, go for it. I do think, like, if the Raiders look at a guy like Chandler Jones, like, hey, Chandler, put this dude underneath your wing, go for it. But I also know that this Raiders defense has a lot of length. That's what makes Crosby great. Chandler Jones, that's what made him great in the past. They don't have anything committed towards Malcolm Koonce, and Jordan Willis is a rotational piece. So if you're able to get somebody that can offer you potentially 4 or 5 sacks in the rookie season, I do like him. Also, I saw that he's been getting comped to Rasheem Green, who is a player that I wanted the Raiders to sign this offseason. So, y'all, those were the picks. Now I want you to grade this ESPN mock draft. Give it an A, a B, a C, a D, or an F. If you don't remember the picks, it was Devin Witherspoon at 7, Steve Avila at number 38. At number 70 was Tucker Kraft, and then Tavius Robinson, the outside linebacker from Ole Miss. This was the mock draft. What would you grade it? For me personally, the grade that I gave it was a C. In terms of overall value, I like the pick of Witherspoon. I think, getting Avila there at 38, it's good value. I think getting Tucker Kraft in round 3, it's good value. I think getting an edge rusher at pick 100 is fitting a need. However, the reason why I am going with a C grade is because getting 3 players in my top 60, solid, and I get the value. But to waste 2 picks and not get a defense, I do think that's a little bit of a miss to me. Yeah, you got somebody at 100, but he's like, I think, my 130th ranked prospect. There is some upside there. So you only got 1 impact defensive player in your top 4 picks in the top 100. I would want a little bit more. That's just my 2 cents. That's why I gave it a C grade. Overall, though, okay draft. So let me know your grades for this ESPN mock.